So,
Welcome. Welcome to another episode of Nerdaholics. And now we are going to breach the subject of Doctor Who.
Again.
Series... Yeah, again.
Again.
Because that's never happened before on this program.
Never done it.
But we're actually going to do a little commentary on... We're going all the way back to... I say all the way back. We're going all the way back to 10 years ago with Doctor Who Series 1... Episode 1, Rose.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we're going to stop. We're not going to do this episode is going to be just this one episode. No, we're going to do this whole episode about the whole series, as in Series 1 in general. We're saying Series 1, Episode 1 because Rose is now playing on the television now.
Right now.
That's the
this very instant, the joy of Netflix. Well, I do actually have this on DVD as well. I think, give a little context, Doctor Who, the original series, was cancelled in 1987 when Sylvester McCoy was the last Doctor, and then they brought it back temporarily for a TV movie in 1996 starring Paul McGann.
Paul McGann's awesome.
And he was very, very good indeed. And then after that, they just, I don't know, it wasn't cancelled, they didn't go anywhere with it. They didn't
do anything with it.
I think there was a few things where I think Americans wanted to buy it, and then there was issues with the Termination Estate, and BBC were like, no, it needs to be.
You would know more on that than I would, but it's ultimately the whole thing was, it's like the Americans wanted to use it, and they had rights to use it in certain things. So, for example, Warner Brothers got the rights to use the Daleks in a couple of things. They used them in the Warner Brothers movie Looney Tunes Back to Action.
Did they?
The Daleks were in that for all of like 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But you're saying like, these are the random aliens we have here to fight you, Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck.
Some of them were Daleks.
And 2 of them were Daleks. And
okay. Right, yeah.
So, for the idea of what it was, it's kind of like they had the idea for doing it.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers still have the IP for using the Daleks to a certain degree, because if you look at what they are doing with movies in general, specifically modern day, Lego Batman movie, the Daleks in Lego form do appear in that, because without having to ask the BBC's permission, they can use the Daleks because they have appeared in Lego form in a Lego set. Right. They can be used.
So they're part of the Lego universe.
They're part of the Lego universe.
Yeah.
Which is a slightly different thing.
Which Doctor Who is now a part of in the Lego Dimensions game with Peter Capaldi. Yeah.
If they wanted Lego Doctor Who to appear in one of the Lego movies, they could have that happen, and that wouldn't be a problem.
And that would be pretty awesome, to be fair.
Yeah.
But then they'd have to get the rights to the Termination Estate, though.
Well,
wouldn't they not? Is it to use the likeness or the voices?
Not to use the likeness. The voices is different. The likeness is absolutely fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you wanted Peter Capaldi to appear in a Lego Doctor Who movie, you'd have to get Peter Capaldi to sign to a separate contract, which the BBC would have to agree to.
Yeah.
However, if you wanted Lego Peter Capaldi as just the Lego Man, no voice acting to appear,
right,
there'd be zero issue.
You don't need a likeness copyright thing.
Because they've already got that.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
This is more than 10 years ago. This is 12 years ago.
This is 12 years ago. 2005.
Yeah, because I keep forgetting about all the annoying gaps that they kept putting in, like the last
fuck
year.
Fuck you, David Tennant.
And
fuck you, Matt Smith.
Specials.
Fuck you, Peter Capaldi.
Yeah, exactly.
All 3 of you, fuck you.
So, in my mind, I'm thinking, this is only 10 years ago because Series 10's just about to come out, but actually, this is more than 10 years ago. This was 2005. April of 2005. In fact, it was a week before. I remember it. Right, it was like a couple of weeks before Easter, 2005. And I remember our good friend Harry, who's been on the show before. When I first met him, he was always going on about Doctor Who. He's a lot better than this one. And he was like, Doctor Who's coming back. And I was like, oh man, I remember watching Doctor Who before I went to school, and they used to do the reruns on a UK channel called UK. No, it wasn't even UK Gold. They did the reruns on BBC Two.
Yeah, they did.
Really early in the morning, and I always associated Doctor Who and John Hurt. Yeah, exactly. And The only ones I remember watching were the John Pertwee ones.
Yeah, it's John Pertwee always appeared. Appeared.
And naive of me to think, I honestly thought that Doctor Who was John Pertwee. Like, I didn't think there were any other actors that played the Doctor. I thought, oh, Doctor Who was a John Pertwee thing. So that's when I said, oh, what? Oh, that series where John Pertwee played that time travel. He goes, it wasn't just John Pertwee. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, are you serious? I was like, yeah. He goes, right, you need to come over to mine and watch some Doctor Who. And then like he showed me all like Tom Baker classics, William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton. So a big reason for my like reinvigoration into the series was due to our good friend Harry. So we like literally watched so much of that over the summer before this series came out.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of excitement building towards it because it was like, oh yeah, we finally it's actually like live now. It's finally back. Russell T Davies has brought it back. So there was a lot of excitement like surrounding it, and like the promos for it were really exciting. It was like, oh, they're getting a really good actor. Like Christopher Eccleston's like a big star to bring in.
He was
in the UK anyway. I mean, obviously, I think he'd done a few bits and pieces. Like
he had done a few movies, but ultimately he was a
British.
He was best known
institution actor,
at least from my perspective, as the main police detective in Cracker. Which is Robbie Coltrane, the guy who plays Halgrid TV show.
Yeah.
And he was a big part of that until he got killed in that TV show. But ultimately,
Spoiler alert.
Not
that you probably end up watching this. But
then here's the thing: it's like Christopher Eccleston, regardless of what anyone says about him, is a very good actor.
He's a brilliant actor. And then it was just before this came out, Russell T Davies wrote a series called The Second Coming. Sounds a bit gay.
No. Look, I get what you mean. It sounds very gay.
But it was rad. But it was to do with, it might not necessarily be gay. We're going to get slaughtered.
Christopher Eccleston came back as Jesus.
He was basically God.
Yeah.
Or Jesus. It was about the second coming of Christ set in a modern day setting in England. So they'd worked with each other very, very recently before. And then Russell T Davies decided, I'm going to bring back Doctor Who. And, as much as we will rant about him in the episodes to come, the fact that he brought... I cannot fault him for bringing back Doctor Who.
Well, there won't be being episodes to come, but we'll just rant about him in general.
Well, yeah. But, as in, when we do more videos about this, because this is going to be an ongoing series.
Oh, this will be an ongoing series. There'll be more rants.
Exactly. There'll be a lot of moaning about shit episodes that he's written, because there are a lot of them. But
RTD,
also...
we apologise right now. This is nothing personal.
Oh, no, I don't apologise for one thing.
I'm
not. It's not a personal thing.
You cannot write for shit when it comes to Doctor Who.
There's only one episode that I've watched recently, again, after a long time, which is in Series 4, called Midnight. And that's going to be an episode where I think we should dedicate a whole podcast just to reviewing that episode. Because that's so much out of left field.
Midnight and the Titanic episode, the Christmas one they did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I feel it's very indicative of something that Russell T Davies can do.
Yeah.
Russell T Davies can write drama.
He can write drama, he can develop characters, he can't write sci-fi.
He can't write sci-fi. And that's no disrespect to him as a person, but it's like, you know what?
And there's a lot of agendas in there, which we won't get into for...
obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons, but let's just say, he has an agenda.
But here's the thing.
He has a big agenda.
Here's the thing. Those two episodes we're talking about, Midnight and The Last Voyage, or Lost Voyage, or whatever it's called. One with the Titanic in space.
It was Catherine Tate's first episode, wasn't it?
No, that's Runaway Bride.
Oh, Runaway Bride, yeah, no. That is it. Oh, no, it's the one with Kylie Minogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the whole...
Voyage of the Damned.
Voyage of the Damned, that's it, thank you. Ultimately,
you're welcome. The point of that. Stop yawning! It's only 10 to 3 in the morning.
It's 10 to 3 in
the morning.
How dare I? How dare I yawn at 10 to 3 in the morning?
Exactly, what's going on here?
Point is, it's like, when it comes to it, right, it's like Russell T Davies, he can write epic drama. He can. And as evidenced by those two episodes, because either those two episodes individually or together, however you want to do it, it's like, damn, that's very dramatic. It's like
Yeah.
the whole thing about Midnight, and we'll touch on this more when we start to talk about it. It's
Yeah.
just like, you know what?
It's very out of left field for his style.
The thing that upsets me about the episode is one line that
Just going to adjust this a little bit.
That's right. I'm leaning back further than I should be. The one thing that upsets me about that episode is something that David Tennant says, and it's part of the script.
There we go.
At least that's my understanding. Is it's part of the script.
Yeah.
When it's like in Midnight, you've got the hostess,
Yeah.
woman who's on
Yeah.
the train, bus,
Yeah.
whatever it is. And at the very end, she's like, oh, well, the woman sacrifices herself to save her brother.
Yeah.
On the bus.
What was her name?
And he's like, he's sitting there in the middle of the aisle. It's like, what was
After
her name?
basically being killed, or almost being killed by these people.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know what her name was. What was her name? And the doctor's asking it, not because he's being an arsehole, but
Is this
because
just like,
he wants
she's
to know.
basically saved us? What was her name? Is it wrong of me to feel like Rose's mum is quite attractive? She's a proper cougar.
Oh, I would, but that's because I
Like,
have
especially in that dressing gown, it's
and
just like,
nothing else.
crikey.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
A bum bum.
All over the phone.
Yeah.
No, but ultimately,
Although she was irritating as shit.
she's irritating as shit all the way through.
But she's actually arguably better looking than Billie Piper is, in my opinion.
that won't work. He's gay. She's an alien.
Yeah. See, there's little things in this first story that are like, yeah, it's kind of clever. And there's one bit later on where he talks about, it could have been worse. So he hasn't actually seen himself regenerate.
But see, here's the thing. That goes back to the original plan for this very first episode was at the very beginning, it wasn't going to be Christopher Eccleston.
Just coming in.
It was going to be Paul McGann, at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it was like, so he would know who she is, but she wouldn't know who he is.
Yeah.
And it's like, hang on, I saw a weird bloke last night, and I'm seeing another weird bloke now.
Calling himself the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the same spaceship.
And it's like, this is it. And the whole thing would be, and it's like, the reason they dropped it was, according to RTD, was that...
Budgetary reasons or something like that, wasn't it? Like, it was like, storyline reasons.
Budget and storyline. Because it's like, the thing is, you're introducing a brand new show, why would you have one character, kill them off after 2 minutes?
Yeah, to regenerate into
someone else. And it's like, you know what? As a nice thing for the fans, that would have been great.
Yeah,
but for the brand new fans,
they made that up with Light of the Doctor, I suppose. But then that took at least 8 or 9 years before it came into fruition.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think the setting, the whole council estate thing, and don't get me wrong, I grew up in a council estate. What I'm saying is, it's like there's only a certain amount of council estates you can set these companions to be on. It's like you've got all these planets to go for, but yeah, I thought this episode for me, it was like Christopher Eccleston. It was a lot of Tom Baker. It was just like sort of, yeah. It's like, oh, so you're an alien, sort of, yeah. It doesn't matter, and it's like this like gleeful smile.
This thing. Let's talk about Christopher Eccleston as a Doctor for a moment, right?
Yeah.
I liked him as a Doctor. He was very...
I thought he fit into the role immediately.
He fit very well into the role. He was very much a case of, I am someone who has seen some shit.
Yeah.
I have dealt with this shit.
I am the Doctor who was scorned.
I'm now trying to be who I was before this shit happened again.
Yeah.
It's the kind of...
He's back to being the Doctor.
I'm repressing it, but it's right there.
Yeah.
And it's kind
like
of...
a lot of like issues that people have and they go through in their lives.
Everyone
It's
has
like,
it,
you know what I mean? It's like, you try and be the person you were before and it's difficult, but you somehow you do it because that's who you are.
Yeah, you do because you have to.
Yeah.
And it's like, so his portrayal of the Doctor is like, I like it. And it's kind of like...
I can't fault Eccleston at all. In fact, I remember like even watching him the first time, like I literally just believed him to be the Doctor, like almost straight away. I was like, it didn't take me long, and it was just a shame that, you know, for whatever reason he didn't continue being the Doctor, and like recently he's come out and said, oh, you know, I actually love the character, and it's like, see, there's a lot of lost potential there, but sometimes things work out the way they're supposed to work out. You know what I mean?
We'll touch on this more when we talk about the second series, but because it's like how episodes cross over. But ultimately, for this one series that he was in, that he was the Doctor,
and
I bought it. I liked it.
The way that he, as good an actor as he was, it kind of almost made feel like he'd been the Doctor for longer than one season.
Yeah.
In the way that he portrayed it. It was very much like he was grounded in the role from the beginning. But that's how good he is, or was.
Here's the thing, it's the little touches, which obviously...
Right, it's this speech here.
It's one speech, right.
Do you know what we were saying about the Earth revolving? It's like when you're a kid. The first time they tell you that the world is turning and you just can't quite believe it because everything looks like it's standing still. I can feel it. The turn of the Earth. The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. The entire planet is circling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me. Clinging to the skin of this tiny little world that we let go. That's who I am.
I mean, that is just like...
That's...
To me, that encompasses the Doctor. And to have that so early on in his tenure, and it was just like, man, for me, that makes this whole episode.
Yeah.
Just that speech right there, it's just like, yeah, he's the Doctor.
Yeah,
straight away.
Yeah. Here's the thing. That speech and a couple of other things he does, it's like, you know what? The Stephen Moffat episodes, we'll go into Stephen Moffat as a separate thing when we get to his tenure as being the head writer.
There's a Stephen Moffat two-part in this series. Which I sometimes forget.
I can't remember what they're called.
Well, it's the Doctor...
The Gas Mask Zombies.
Yeah, it's the Doctor Dances and... Shit, this is really bad preparation, but then we have been drinking for about 7 hours.
For a long while. This is 1 o'clock in the morning. We've been drinking since 7.
No. This is 3 o'clock in the morning.
This is 3 o'clock in the morning. Shit. We've been drinking since about half 7.
Yeah.
So, we're gone.
Yeah, we are. I mean, to be fair, I'm glad that we can still speak right now. But I think it's a testament to our...
Yeah.
So I love a Doctor Who!
It's about power.
Exactly.
Right, but here's the thing. Going back to it, right? Okay. Things that... I like Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. I wish he had stayed longer, but ultimately, from what I understand, there were issues behind the scenes that meant he didn't want to and he couldn't. So fine, fair enough. I would rather someone who actually wanted or could care about the role to stay.
I mean, I would have been interested to see how he would have fared against like the Cybermen or the Master.
Well, this is the interesting thing. The interesting thing is, okay, I didn't want to touch on this too much before we got into it, but okay, we'll talk about it briefly now, is that most episodes are written like a year or so in advance.
Yeah.
So it's like, people who were writing for Doctor Who Series 2 were writing the episodes halfway through Series 1.
Yeah.
On the basis that these episodes would be prepped and ready to go should Series 2 be done, which means they're based on Christopher Eccleston. Exactly.
Yeah. In the same way that the first series of Tom Baker, they were written for John Pertwee.
Yeah, exactly. It's what happens a lot with stuff like this, when you have like an actor changeover. Now, ultimately, there's no disrespect going on here. It's ultimately a case of the actor changes over and what you've written for one person won't necessarily fit for another.
Yeah, it's how they interpret that characterisation.
Now, ultimately, it doesn't matter too much because when you get down to it, the nitty-gritty of Doctor Who is like, you know what? It's okay. Because the character is basically the same all the way through with slightly different personality traits.
It's got the same morals.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same moral code to an extent. You know, at the end of the day, they're there. You know, never cowardly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those ones where they at the end of the day, no matter how different the characterisation may be in other aspects, the flow is that they are, you know, the protector of the innocent.
I'm the Doctor. I protect the innocent. I help when I can.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm here to help.
It goes back to Peter Capaldi's. It goes back to Peter Capaldi's speech, which I will love till the day I die. In his first series, it's like, I'm just a madman in a box.
Actually, no, I'm not. I'm an idiot.
I'm not a good man. I'm not a bad man. I'm
an idiot.
I'm an idiot. Dropping in, helping out. You know.
And also, I have a duty of care.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, we're getting into Capaldi episode. Right,
We ain't
I'll tell you
covered-
what.
Right, so
Right,
bring us back to the first series.
yeah.
Right. So first 3 episodes.
There's a good
right?
mythos with what we're watching now is basically pictures of where the Doctor has been seen in Christopher Eccleston's characterization. So he was seen on the Titanic, he was seen during the
JFK.
Kennedy assassinations. So the idea it's kind of linking. It's an introduction to new viewers because they're like, oh, this guy's been throughout history as this characterization. But for the classic fans, it's like, oh yeah, well he obviously would have been at some point in this
Yeah.
in these eras with different doctors or different faces. Do you know what I mean? But it's the fact that he still has that face. It's almost like it gives you a nice context. It's like he's only just regenerated. However, he's been seen. He's a legend through history. He's been seen in that characterization as Christopher Eccleston. You know, for him it's only 5
years.
minutes, but for us, he's gone to fucking
He's
200
gone to-
years ago. Do you know what I mean?
He's gone to the past,
Time
to the
is just
present, to the future.
2 minutes to him. He could have done all those things between being regenerated
Yeah.
and
For him,
coming here.
for him, it's been a week.
Yeah.
For us, it's been maybe 3,000 or 4,000 years,
Yeah.
depending on where you define the time.
Although this part is just bad. When
Okay.
Mickey gets swallowed by a bin and it burps, it's just like, okay,
Yeah, it's-
this is where it falls down slightly.
This is the whole problem of Series 1. The whole problem of Series 1 is they weren't willing to push the envelope, and I get why. Because you know what? You're bringing Doctor Who back. You want to make sure it sells to a new audience. Because
Yeah, but there never been any burping bins in the new... Well,
No,
okay, in the
it's-
old series, I suppose it got it was very cartoony in sort of the later eras. So, like the Colin Baker / Sylvester McCoy eras. But you'd never get a burping bin in Patrick Troughton or Tom Baker
Well,
era.
it's not
Do you know
about
what I
the
mean?
burping. It's not about the burping bin. It's more a case of
No, but it's those sort of tropes that are like...
they brought Doctor Who back to the TV. It's taken them
Yeah.
what 20.
Honestly,
it's taken them 20 years.
I
at this
completely
point
agree.
To get it
I
brought
completely
back.
agree. But
At
if
this
you just
point-
cut this bit out completely and just left it with him, with Rose and the gentleman talking about where the Doctor's been, how his influences are. That's all you need. You don't need a fucking plastic bin churning out burping Mickey out. It's just like that's where the flaws lie. It's like
Well, no,
okay,
you can-
maybe if it's a family show, fine enough, but don't make it ludicrous. And it's like there's these sort of things. Looking back on it, are like, yeah. It's like you brought it back, but you didn't do it many favours at the start. It's that could have all been cut and just left on this scene
Well,
with
no.
Rose and the guy talking about the Doctor.
You could have had the Rose
And had the
guy
actual,
talk.
fucking hell.
Well, no, you could have
Not Zygons.
Autons.
Autons, just, you could just have them as actual Autons rather than, shop floor dummies.
Well, here's the thing. You could have made it a lot neater. You could have just basically had Mickey go, leave the van with her and lean against the bin, and then he just disappears and he comes back. You can make the assumption that the bin ate him later on, because ultimately it doesn't matter. After the car drives off, you can have the bin burp, and then be like, oh, hang on, why did the
You
bin
just
burp?
cut that whole bit out completely,
Yeah.
and then you have, all of a sudden, these dummies in the window coming to life. You don't need Mickey becoming, a weird, plastic version of himself. It's really jarring.
The thing is, you can still have it and make it work, but that's a particular problem with this episode. The ultimate problem with this series was they weren't willing to push the envelope, and I get why.
Well, they didn't push it until halfway through the series with Dalek,
Well, here's the
episode
thing.
6.
Yeah, but that's different, because they had a plan for this series. The whole plan was, we're reintroducing Daleks. Okay, so, episodes 1, 2, and 3, this is the Doctor and what he's about. Episode 5, 4 and 5, It's episode 6, Dalek. This is a Dalek, this is what it can do, this is why it's the most badass killing machine in the universe.
But then arguably,
It
if
is
you're bringing Doctor Who back, people associate Doctor Who with Daleks. Why don't you start it with that episode?
But again, this is why
and then you're starting it really
you've
strongly.
got so many new people joining the series at this point.
Yeah.
How many new people have you got who've never seen Doctor Who before at this point?
There are quite a few.
They hear the name and they're like, hang on, Doctor Who, I know the name because everyone has talked about it.
Yeah, so then
let's watch it.
how do you set that first impression? You set it through a burping bin, or do you set it through a fucking, like, you know, killing machine Dalek?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
You set it through a burping bin to basically establish a safe, relatively easy realm to get involved in, and then that's when you hit with the fucking Dalek. Because the Dalek, let's be honest, the Daleks are the epitome of badass evil in Doctor Who.
You know, you've got the Doctor, you've got the Daleks, and you've got the TARDIS, you know what I mean? Those are three things. But what I'm saying is, you know, a lot of people may well have switched off from this episode because of the fact that there's a burping bin. Whereas if you set them from the outset...
too much emphasis on the burping bin.
Well, no, I don't mean just the burping bin, but I just mean the whole idea of the... they didn't even get the nesting consciousness right, really. Excuse me.
As a basic...
I'm not saying, you know, you have to start everything with your strongest asset, but at the same time, I think this episode gets it half right and half very, very badly wrong. You think what you do, you focus all the stuff on. Oh, it's the Doctor. Oh, it's the TARDIS. Oh, it's a new companion. Blah blah. You get those right, and then you focus minimally on a villain. But if you're focusing minimally on a villain, don't make him be some sort of really stupid comical, you know, thing. You want this series to be taken seriously. I just think there's little things in this episode that they could have tweaked to make it more like. Not serious, but like, you know, you could be taken more seriously rather than, you know, half a drama and half like a CBeebies episode. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's like, okay, for reference for you guys on the video here, we've just literally got to the point where Rose has just gone to the TARDIS for the
very first time. Yeah.
Now, ultimately, I will admit this is not my favourite TARDIS interior.
Or the coral design that they didn't change until Matt Smith came along. Yeah.
Matt Smith.
Almost 10 years later.
Matt Smith's.
5 years later, I should say.
Matt Smith's design when they had.
The first one with the steampunk, for me, I think, out of the new Who, is the best.
See, this is it. I'd go with the second one, which is the one they've kind of got now.
Where
they've got the extra.
I do really like that.
I like that more.
But
that's just me.
I just don't know. There's something about the whole mad scientist thing. Maybe going back to the whole Peter Cushing sort of style, which I really like.
I'll completely throw out. TARDIS interiors is completely a personal preference. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it doesn't matter that much for the progression
of
the
story.
Exactly.
It's just, you know, at the end of the day, in a way, it's another character. It is another character, though.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
The TARDIS is always going to be another character. It's like the Ring from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The Ring is supposed to be the 10th character of the Fellowship. You have 9 people taking a prisoner, the 10th character of the Ring, back to its cell or to its sentence to death.
I'm just going to adjust the brightness on this. So
how are we going to define it? Now,
it seems to be a bit dark.
Ultimately, while I will say that Doctor Who is amazing for the first series because it had to tread a very fine. Okay, I'm going to hit my conclusion right now because the conclusion is the ultimate point. I'm going to hit this.
Hit it, motherfucker. Hit it.
It's with the first series, that's right. For Christopher Eccleston, in a nutshell, I'd loved if he stayed longer.
What might have been? I think
what
that's it. I think that's the
what could have been could have been amazing.
Yeah.
But he didn't stay. Reasons are his own.
Yeah.
Whatever. Fine. As in terms of what we got as a series, in terms of
I think it was half great and